you read the entire chapter, and then you review all the point, the major point, and see how much you remember. And then if you don't get the whole point, you read again. And then you leave the book aside and you go over this again, reviewing. And as you do that, although you wouldn't remember each word in the text, but you will get the main point.
제자변은 간도 지나서다 야간론이나 자살을 잡아도 쇠작도 와 쇠작 쇠작도 띵된다리 이제 님의 강 개개사는 베리 치기 버려 아니 소소 나는 야 빼로 잡아래 다 되게 된다대 줄하는로 뎁코라차나 케어 말아 대 나니 도도도도대 추르네 다 아니 코도 쇠잡니 다 칼라로는 다 포만을 사초주 소요했어.
That is, one main reason for the debating purpose. You go to class, receive teaching from your teacher, and then later you go to debate. And while you debate, this is exactly what we're doing. Regurgitizing, can you say, the main point that you studied. And as you debate, the main points are become more clearer. And as a result, you will remember the essence of that particular teaching.
제가 더 전에 안에 디콜로 삼로당 곰 잡아이나 아니 소소 샘라 간지 추어지 레고서 갈래 곰 잡아이나.
And then if you meditate on this particular topic by reviewing this main point, and as you do this meditation again and again, then you'll start really getting the essence of the teaching, and some kind of a change or transformation is taking place at your heart.
다양 빼심바이다 다 가서 가든나 다 조바 곰고래 다 조바 곰고래 신도 mambolata 저도 조바 대신 저도 참아 잡시 그랬어. 조바라는 칼은 저도 조바 따따 셰시 그랬어.
And then if we move to the subject of patience, you read a lot, you studied a lot about the patient. If I ask you, tell me what is the purpose and the meaning of the patience, you can tell me a lot.
다 얘는 뭐는 조바 가디 곰고래 소소 샘추도 제가 곰토고 다 티가가도 곰토고 대 마토바티 남중어도 냠내시라 제가 매 따고 조바선들의 yin sometimes 고 소소 졸라 자기 따로 있어.
Then although you can tell a lot about patience, when you try to practice patience at the time when the patience most needed, we usually fail. And that is because we haven't been practicing patience.
제가 만두 가데나 샘라 샹다 마테나 고 제대로 만다 샹다 야보테나 미세데 느리지 칸로 고바잔도 통도 장와이나.
Therefore, it's really important to get a good training. When you are well trained, even you can walk in a tightrope.
Okay, like that. This is the basic things, okay? The most important is not important, like, like us, if honestly, we are not very young. Sorry to say that. Including myself, right? We are not very young. Therefore, what we do, somebody say, okay, you have to study that, you have to study that, you have to study. Yes, sir, yes, sir. But we study, they finish our die. So we don't get any practice. Therefore, study, practice much you can. He's only said the monks have to practice when they study Persian. Persian type come and then nyamne chego song to us.
His Holiness advises that you should start practicing when you get to study the paramitas, perfections. When you get to the subject of perfections, this is where you start practicing it.
제가 남주변에 양가도 되는 연구에서 다 가시가 다 강가도 말아. 아다 자살아야 로종 제 계시 땅 개파차 다들 사치버걸 당가 냠내지 제공도 달라마 셴바이 땡고도 생각되는 요레스 당가 냠내 제단 장고도 제장아 대다원도 많이 먹고 그래. 로종 책이 지금 냠내 파잘 고도.
Usually we have this thinking at the monastery. First we finish our study, and we get our Geshe degree and other award, and then we started thinking about practicing it, and we tend to put the practice to the end of the study. But His Holiness is saying that shouldn't be the case. You should really start practicing as you learning the subject.
제가 수 미카시 리파 야보치 아니 릭톱 쳔보지 근데나 두두 다 로종 가세지나 제도 걸까 그 자체 튜브 가이가로 담보 자체 튜브 만다다 요로 때 고레스 다 소소 릭톱시라 매와이나 제제시라 릭톱시라 도도시다 도도시 냠내 제지 도도 소소 섬톱 고레스 대마다나 산이 아구산 로데 제베칼라야 다 가르삼나 야가요나 삼데니 곤투데 차그데
So usually it's very important that if you are like those highly intelligent people, they can study a lot, and they can go on and on to continue their study. But then for others, if you didn't have that pleasure, what you do is you really study and then immediately try to practice what you have studied. If you do that, then eventually you have something to take with you.
배차지는 가던데 잘랐음도 도구데
지금
간제데
네 이즈를 배.
내 예즈만 내드나게 아이폰 델룩사데 가라 도구무다 도구데
그리 어디도
대대대체
It's like an iPod case.
and 델 체리치기요 체리치
Is it a chocolate? Yes.
와 근데 델야 체리 추주치요
And then there's a candy.
다 잘라서 쓰면 나도 내 저거 나도 상만 내가 상가 잡잖아 근데 흉치야지 키로 그러와 나도 키라고 말어와 제자 소리 늦숨는 게 가래가 나 찍냐고 그러다 키고 그랬어
And so when you are presented with these three items and ask you to choose something, everyone will go for this iPod, right, or earphone. And you may not get it, but you still have to get something, and you may go opt for the other one, and just make sure you grab something from that.
제자 냠내 저거는 나도 냠내라 단 돈보 요래 담래 수수 yani ombo susu karo ripala tembe chik nazo nyamne chia su ragu ndo wa.
So there are many things we can practice, but then we have to be incredibly wise to choose something which is appropriate for ourselves.
Okay, tate chetan ro tang ro res ta namjin ro tang ro te go te nenga ro chang yo re.
So this is how we put practices, how we choose.
Okay, what's today's subject? Today's compassion, emptiness, something?
Yes, compassion grounded emptiness.
Okay, what means that? Te pege chijada.
The Chanju sim ge simbe dongba ning nyamli. Or ningji simbe dongba ning nyamli.
Ah, yes, simbe. Okay. Ta ani tanda chanchu ge ta nije ge simbe dongba ning nyamli sa do ka 아니 가자 되잖아. 니제도 샤지고 sem님바 니자 요나 아니 다티 찍찍 성겨. 설서바데 그나 샤 니제 곰바이나 아니 토뇨 토벨로데 야라 콤베도. 아니 니제 그 토뇨 토벨로데 곰나 니제데 야 콤베도나 코니 산라데 두스레스.
So compassion grounded emptiness is like this. When you are practicing compassion, it also enhances your understanding about emptiness. When you're meditating on emptiness, it at the same time improves your the quality of compassion. So this is what we mean like grounded. When we practice one section, it's complement the other.
제다바나 타 니제가 로쇼도 가로. 니제가 로쇼도 가래.
What is the opposite of compassion?
What do you think?
Selfishness.
Huh?
Selfishness.
Okay. Simba, any other things?
Indifference.
Yeah, what's the opposite? The white and black. Opposite of white is black. Opposite of black is white, right? What's the opposite?
Hatred.
Impatient.
Yeah, it's you get a lot, right? The example, another page away, not pen a control charge, control, pen a control charge, na. Page of control over shower, na. Ched and Niji Kanda, Niji Kadi Shucheva, Niji and Chervana, control Maris, control my Mewacharo, Karna, Kuni Sayomar, Sangamaris.
Let's say anger as an example. When you have a strong the compassion in your mind stream, it will not provide any space for anger to overwhelm your emotion. So that's what we mean by compassion bounded.
Oh, Ched Zanga, Anita, Niji Shuchemboda, Chambada, Annie, Jempegalo, Samaya, Yamdo, comfortable, then the other could soon like this.
So compassion, when you have a strong compassion, it also increases your loving kindness and so on. So that's what we mean like a basis or bound. One is enabling the other.
Chetan bena kontu gi nyembo te chetan dambra langi mobile bena nije de paji kontu nyembo chamna te salmata che yores.
When we think about the antidote of anger, and there are many, as some of you already mentioned, but maybe compassion can be one of the most potent antidote of anger.
Pe charge shawa yana ani cheran la nije shu chembo yosa yetola mibe kontu shu chembo chin teg mare.
For example, a subject to which you have a very strong compassion, usually you would not get a strong anger toward the same subject.
Pe chena bena ame gi jela pugula kontu ka sa kontu yonde yana tege kono de ani kontu kono de ani karo 다 니제로 차들이 니제로 좋아 아니 잠바 야만다 제섬 제비 삼바 뿌라 제비 반나 뿌라 팬도고 삼바 팬섬 그 삼바 티크는데 아니 콘동에지도 콘도지 다 사고래 나 대당 안도 남지 밀 코로사니 가레스.
If you look at a mother's reaction to her child when she get angry at the child, and that anger sometimes came from either her compassion or maybe her love toward that child.
제가 간다 부고디 가리 녀가래 쪼베가 제도 코로사고래.
The anger that a mother had on that child in that particular situation is to really prevent him or her getting in danger.
다 나진 그 소소 티 가로 아니 소소 텔라야치 가로 소소 토비악 제도 코로사고 말까 이제 소소 토비악 제도 남중아도 코로사도 소소 토비악 제도 사대원 그러와.
And that anger is not for self-interest based. And the mother would not get angry at the child because she wanted to get something out of it. In most cases, we get angry because we have some interest behind that experience, behind that issue.
배나 지나서 삼보이도 야만나 소소고 따와 야만나 소소고 켈레 야만나 소소고 썸설 대라치 발치칭엘로나 아니 간도 코로사한 거다.
Usually we get angry at someone because either they are creating an obstacle to our views or to our self-interest.
제단 삼점 지지는 간도 노르제 파초노다 이나 용타 두수 용을 뺀다 체단 시민의 팁 코로나 소득되어 그래 시미 코로나 그 발못된 거로 봐 뒤서로 그러와.
And yes, so this is the case for human beings. And also you can see in the dogs and cats, when dogs get angry, it will show their teeth. Whereas the cat show you the paw. Can you say paw?
Claws.
Claws, yes, claws.
제대 대용어도 소소 송죽제 제대용 거다. 소소 송약제 송죽제.
And this is a kind of self-protection reaction.
Pena cheda shimido color taken color the part and cause color the strong.
And for the dogs and the cats, when you take away their food, they start showing frustration. And because they feel they're losing their meal.
제가 안주 소소가 따와 야무나 소소가 레와 야무나 소소가 쌈슬 어때 소야게 제대 아니 공로도 봐딱 구성 와서도 고민 당겨로
And so usually we get angry because we feel either our desire, views, or interest is in danger. And so our expression of the anger is to really become a defensive, to really defend our interests, our hope, and so on.
다 되는지는 아니 미 파초바다 그랬더니 다 아니 이제 따와 슈침보다 나도 슈침보다 아니 나니 파더 투더네 코 마투와지는 두 바퀴 되거든. 근데 짱네 나르짜니도 나르짜니도 코니 두토고 말아. 너 정말 슈쳐제 돼서도.
So our conflict usually starts with a strong attachment to our ideas or identity. So when individuals with a very strong views, attachment to our views, and when the views are not a complement to each other, and we clash, and it draws us into conflict. Just like a magnet, what is the magnet? The stone, which magnet was
magnet.
Magnet. Yes, magnet. Just like a magnet, it really brings all the other metals. Our strong attachment to our views really bring all the conflict with others.
야, 다 지나 돈을 드는 거는 가도 이제도 공부해. 다 뭐뭐 시행매다. 저도 시야도 뭐 거되겠다. 야, 이제까지는 이제 거되다. 시행매스.
So tonight, I really wanted to practice compassion. You have heard a lot about compassion and the other subjects, but here tonight, we'll practice it.
제가 가서 배는 뇌좀 가로 매체 맞아 봐야 되지 메스. 제가 저도 이제 걸로 고마하지 말고 시작하게 해 말이.
As Shantideva mentioned, that I have nothing new to share here. Just like that, I have no new to really teach because you have already heard everything about compassion.
제가 딱 가지고 깨는데 저도 그렇게 저왔더니 가도 다 자제 간라 남주 가도 검잖아. 지금 주도나 자와나 내려게 직접 파조 대자 투조도 자지 동 시리파바 가로 직직체 폰 깨잡 디스트로이 장도 용모도 왔다. 다들 소소 나라 요다 디스트로이 엑스큐티브 말 나도 검들이 자기다.
We're going to practice tonight. This is really good time to do so. We are at our own house. We have a good space, less noise, less disturbances. Usually when we practice this kind of teaching at the center, there's always some kind of disruptions.
제다가 나도 이제서다 가르나 아니 간제 둥아기 나데베 생질라미네 대 둥아 탄데글로지나 이제랑 그래서
Compassion, in essence, is to wanted to free sentient beings who are suffering. A strong desire to free sentient beings from suffering, and that's what the practice of compassion is about.
제다 단데 가블라 다 단데 주스 닐라야 잠블레야 다 리다 샘기 둥아 명기 다 지요 마다 다리 가종고니 둥아 라파는 건 통고요다.
If we think about the problems around us or in the entire planet, everyone is suffering. No one is free from the suffering. And we can really feel this gross level of the suffering with our own eyes and emotion.
go pombo네 오가다 홈레스네 받았다 다 대상에 리더 생기 둥아 명기 촌이 요 말다.
Everyone, starting from the head of the state or to people in the street, everyone's experiencing suffering. No one's free from these sufferings.
제가 남주 군두기 뺀다 피민 받쳐 말업 제등에 되려면 이제 공고 송어도 또 빼는 거도 와.
Usually His Holiness teaches us we have to practice compassion to the most, what you say, the bad people. To
뭐야,
the,
다 되지. 근데 다 니제 잡으라. 다 니제 간제. 된지면 다 단단한도 삼로 있다는 잠블래야. 소소 삼로 있다. 아다 미콜도 강이야 요 말씀도 파지 요 말이.
if we think about everyone in this world, you cannot find anyone who is free from suffering.
좋아. 간제 단다 코비드-19 때 잠블래야 다 간제 자 차상 냐치 줘라.
The COVID-19 really is causing suffering to the entire community of the world.
오케이. 다 되는데 다 나도 니제 공부인다. 담보 소소 삼로지 따로와. 아니 지금 소소 되려야. 아니 소소 대화였다가 라마 되게 좁에 다 상지다 상지다 봐요. 좀 대야지. 빠져오다 되네 많이 봐죠. 당군이 전에 대다 대나지 요 삼바 메나지 지는 기주 장 되네 요 삼쇼스.
So first, we visualize our teachers, our gurus, to whom you have the most strong devotion in front of us, surrounded by all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. You shouldn't imagine a picture, but you really visualize them as they are alive in front of you.
아니 되게 늘어야 되게 메타다 부다 되게 쳐봐야 뭐 배워 대화성 당고 그래서.
And then you visualize all offerings like flowers, incense, and so on in front of it.
다 되네 아니 소소 거라고는 잠블에게 sem제 참아 소소 거라고 이와 치통 다셔. 내 맞아 다 참아요. 삼도 참아 리다 sem게 다다 또이나 되게 강인 최대요래 삼고 그래서.
And then you visualize all the sentient beings around you, to imagine that all of them are experiencing some kind of suffering related with the COVID-19.
오다 대삼네 다 나도 가냐 sem제도 저 둥어지다 트러블 제치시 식대 나도 소소 암존나다 다트 투어지는 나도 아니 친구지 교라한다 대들이 마세한다 대장장 저 식대 주보.
And then we're going to recite, may all sentient beings be free from suffering. And as you imagine you're hearing this sound in your ear, we're going to recite it one round of a rosary.
대 소소는 되거든. 소소는 되바지. 깨도 소소 깨들 녀지 소소는 되셔와.
And you recite this as you hear this particular word, like may all sentient beings free from suffering. And as you hear this, you also recite it along with that sound.
좋아. May all sentient beings free from suffering and cause. 대장장 특이전 남주 대 쪼다 두죠. 대게 간나 소유지는 니지 깨라야 팬도요래.
And as you recite these phrases, this really helps you to generate compassion in your heart.
제 담보대 특히 짜자 may all sentient beings free from suffering cause. 대장장지 삼의 셴마 마동하지. 특다랑 간나 샘데 대가 탑시지. 아니 소소 교셔와. 소소 거지야.
And so we're going to pay all our attention on the sound. May all sentient beings be free from suffering. And as you hear this, and you place your concentration on that, and then you recite up to the level you can hear yourself.
제가 나도 타마 물 마치나 야 나도 게임 담으라 거네 게임 담으라 거 소소게 집으면 마고 왔지 다라 찍다 다라 가게 탑시셔와.
And we're going to mute everyone because we make sure that doesn't disturb others. But you can say this as loud as you can hear yourself.
오케이. 난 저항에 라파이 대치는 가드든 지금 조가래다 개말 나 조강에 깨잡이 왔어.
And so I'll use the mala. And
Okay,
if I say it a little bit louder than yours, no problem. You can follow me.
Okay. Everyone ready? 담보스도 아니 소신이라고 답 전에 sem제 참아요 왔지. 아니 전소 다 단다 둥아요 왔대. 이거는 통고요 와. 제자 다들 둥아지다 잡아지 둥아지다 잡아지. 대 다른 데는 인다스.
So we visualize our marriage field in front of us, and surrounded ourselves as being surrounded by all sentient beings who are going through the sufferings of COVID-19. And then we recite these phrases.
어때 소소깨 하고 텔 말라왔지. Now pa takijina ani semblant wore pa matawachi.
And so we make sure that we pay full attention to the sound that we hear, the sound that we produce. Make sure that we do not lose our concentration.
Okay. 저도 참아 롤 해줘 봐래.
And you all remember this phrase, right? May all sentient be free from suffering.
Okay. Oh yeah. 딱 안 되고 진도다. 저선 되고 진도 사이베.
So I've just finished one round of mala. Have you?
오케이. 다 저도 타이마 다들 개나가 말해. 다 이거 니바데 셴바데는 단 저와데 파샤. 단 고고 레박신 될 도에 다스. 식다로. 근데 도나 게메와치. 특랑 선도 도에 다스.
Now the second practice we do is we leave the mala away. We don't use mala.
칸그 주자야 말다.
Also, we're not going to recite it, but we're going to, what do you call this? Think about it. This
not think about it. not negative. Recite the mantra without sound.
Oh, okay, so we recite it in our head.
Yeah, not mouth, not sound. Okay. 제가 nga samdone nga samdo bin the way tana ti ya do sempre na pan jura do this the way tana cha thole me ni tala
For me, it's more effective when I actually recite this in my head. It's more powerful.
like my mind like to go like into that if I try to hard I couldn't really feel that. Okay. 제 tanga ta te sik tharan loy tharin ba chi na semra la ya ani sik de ndo yi te la dra me ba chi kha lip che ma da ta tari ta ne nga to dra yo ta dra me ba chi sik tharan ya sik te la ya ani semba ani pa de chuk ma do chi thara de sho.
So I want you to recite this in our head. Make sure that we have the correct phrases and pay our full attention to that phrase without actually using our lip or sound.
Okay. Ready? Okay. Oh yeah, that's somebody. That tani te tanda tambo ninja nga to chik dan redo. Ta chik da marwa ta tanda ra sempre de dunga da dunga da trawa chechi te ta na samto ta ra kala ya samne majje ba chine de shwas.
And now the third one is we really meditate on the meaning of the phrases.
Okay.
Not thinking about the sound. Well,
Yeah. Tanda ra sam ta jirwa.
So may all sentient beings free from suffering and the causes of suffering. You just really meditate on that meaning, but don't worry about
제가 안에 가지고 samto ta ra chana pena semte jasha jani ja ta ra de thomna semba sambo shemba chana yongo mare kontu saja lega mare.
So basically, you make sure that your concentration and the focus is 100% on that meaning of may all sentient beings free from suffering and the causes of suffering.
The meaning na ta ta ra sam bole semje de deva dunga tawaji ta ra sam de ko da.
But basically, meaning you just constantly thinking about that meaning.
Okay. Okay, that day in ya. 간에도 다 곰제는 두 치는 곰 야네 담보 찍을때 근데 찍을 때마다 다다라 삼다 대고 요래.
So this is how you practice. We start with reciting the words, and then we contemplate the meaning of these words. And this is how you practice.
제가 대 단다 룩소에다 대니 다 소저 말때 남주고 냠 양원에 냠래 봐서 다 들으지네. 찍찍 다라 담보사. 찍디 단다 삼로 찍디 된다 로는 그래지 찍사 담보사 거 요래.
So this is not something I have invented here. We have this tradition of practices. First, you recite the words, and then you contemplate about the meaning of the words.
제가 대선을 줄어도 제바돼. 그게 될라라 레라인.
So do you find any differences? Which part is harder?
Sam?
Any reactions, please?
Which one is easy?
Oh, Jennifer, please go ahead.
You go.
I was just saying, Geshe-la, for me, it's easier to recite the phrase than contemplate on the meaning, because when I start contemplating the meaning, I get more distracted. When I'm repeating, it's easier for me to concentrate and just focus.
제가 원에 가도 제가 책 내대고 가는 가도 원에 전에 된다처럼 삼 도요 말. 그 마체 책가 책들한테 되게 was.
You're right. When we recite the words, we really are not very effective thinker. We wouldn't be able to think the meaning. It's easier to just recite the word.
제가 원에 전화 안에 책 다라 잠에 같이 레바 강가 나라야. 코나 대대 깔래 가요.
And the next one, after reciting the words, next one is like reciting this word without any sound. It's like reciting by your brain or by your heart. It's more effective and it's a little bit harder from the first one.
아니 뒤에는 단 담아대가도 다 특성은 이제 단다랑 kana 센터 때냐. 나도 심이도 열다. 심이도 비치 신도 섬다 꼭다꼭 기준에 맞아 되게 된다고 되고다.
Then the next one is really fully focus your mind on the meaning of these words. And that's, even harder. And we see when the cat going after, mouses, they have this incredible amount of concentration and focus on that mouse. And just like that.
제가 간도 전에 슉 가서 치워더니 대타바나 나라서 다 셈바 나가 간도 초고 마다나 나기 변다 채널도서 바고 강간 죽되었다 기주자 되고 간도.
And the harder, the better concentration we have on this meaning, the more powerful that concentration in terms of shaking our, emotions, shaking everything in our bodies, in the physical system.
제가 단단하도 좋아도 kelleg 맞잖아. 그 야네 이제 대화나 빼나 로직 로니 롱아. 아니 나도 샘나.
너무 재미있어.
아니 니마 가시지 뭐네 야는 니마 가시 제와나 아니 때때 샘나 초마라 용거래.
As you do this meditation, single pointed concentration on the meaning, which has a really incredible impact. If you do this like 1 month, 1 year, even 5 years, and then that definitely will really, the impact is very powerful. And then I asked Geshe-la, please, can you say in few days? Said, yes, even in a few days, it will have a huge impact.
제가 두시네 제 두시네 저도 곰들 저 되나 곰 예를 보자니 말이야. 내가 삼도 찔 따네 예를 보다 나가도 곰도 따다 용거 말이야. 주도.
So you do this in a short session and don't try to stretch your session. If you do that, it's not effective. You can do this in quite short session and then do it again.
다음서 나도 카드 책을 봐. 카드 책이 지금 그야 되도 야 띵고들한테 딱 띵고 니고들 야 골라야로 되고 야 제가 되네 자로 이 투두 제거다. 대 곰코랑 로타들이 요래.
And when you meditate, if you do a short session, it's much more effective. Usually when we do our recitation prayer, when the prayer is long, as we go along, then we certainly fall asleep. And then we have to restart from all over again. And then we keep going and then we fall asleep again. But for meditation, the shorter is the better.
제가 다대 답되거든. 오케이, 제너럴이야.
Well, I'm sorry, Geshe-la, I had a question, but I can wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
How are we to think about the meaning of those words? I mean, to stay.
제가 저는 다 대노를 튕겨보면 benna 다 튕겨보려나 삼제도 동화지다 트러블 쇼스면 삼도 다나 걸 삼셔야 되겠다. 삼도 다나 걸 샤니. 심박이 삼다 먹었지.
When we say think about, you say may all sentient being free from suffering and the causes of suffering, and you concentrate your mind on that meaning, single point.
저 미닝 하나 다 다르. 근데 삼제도 삼제도 대화 동화도 틱 된다 가르쳐나 아니 삼제도 동화도 가르 이제는 가르나 삼제도 동화도 트러블 뭐 삼도 때라 이제라 그래 새로워. 제가 미닝 삼달나 삼제도 동화지다 트러블 쇼니 삼도 다나 건 되고다.
So the word, may all sentient beings free from suffering and the causes of suffering, and you single-pointedly place your mind on these words, and these words are, saying that the sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of the suffering, and that is what leading to generating compassion. So just thinking about that, all sentient beings be free and from suffering and the causes of suffering, and concentrate on that meaning. That's what I meant.
백 차이나 benna. Think about this penlana. Then 마부도 써먹어지. 샘도 다나 니까나 또 샤는 되고다. 되는 오래.
Put your concentration or think about the pen, and don't try to analyze it. Don't try to pick up a part of it, but just visualizing and concentrating the pen.
제당아도 냠바샤야 돼. 냠바샤 두드러다. 냠바샤야 돼. 이찌려면 샘 다나 티카나 샤네 샘 전에 많이 마가로 위에데 샘나 라마셔지. 샘 다나 간 되고래.
So usually when we say, generate equipoise or be in meditative state, basically placing your mind on that subject or object.
Okay?
Well,
Is me little killing?
well, Geshe-la, I guess I'm thinking that what do we mean? Do we mean all suffering, all types of suffering? And
No, you don't have to think about the one by one. Just any kind of suffering. If you are like right now, we don't want to say, oh, what that problem with a job, someone lose a job, or someone with parents sick, maybe someone lost their family job. We can think right now, like 7 billion human beings have, terrible things happen in their mind. Just we think we wish them all free from suffering. You don't want to think, okay, that's suffering. This is the analytical method. You don't have to think about it. Just any kind of you feel that, right? Everyone say, we can ask anyone, do everyone have suffering? Yeah, they have some problems, right? We don't have to think about that. Just put your mind like catch, then you never lose. Okay? Is it a little clear?
Geshe-la. Oh,
Yes. Who are you?
I'm Amy.
No, yeah. I think
Yeah.
I have
we
a
know,
Sorry, Amy.
we know long time. I think
yeah,
the earliest Western person I know her, right?
maybe.
Yeah,
I don't-
long.
I don't know from your side. I only know my side.
No, I know you
But-
long time. We
Yeah,
went to
yeah.
the his only teaching together.
Yeah,
Okay, yes.
many times, many. Yeah. So I have a question, Geshe-la. I could not do it without thinking of examples. I couldn't think of the meaning without the example. I needed to think of people who are suffering.
Okay.
I couldn't think of suffering in the abstract and stay with it.
Okay, that's good. This is no problem. Like you can see maybe some you can really see someone else suffering. First, think about that. I wish they are free from their suffering. Just think about that. You don't have to think so many. Think about that. You know, you like that, cut something, cut that. Only simply don't move other. You know, you want to cut this one. You try to here doesn't work. You have to simply just cut. They will cut away. Therefore, anything is easy for you, like single person. Then you just think about that. I wish for they're free from suffering. Just finish it. You got it? 제가 나도
I think
덤덤 나도 배나 단다에나 나도 배나 덤블이 섬제 참발아 강에 와도 로는 걸 되고요. 대 맞에나 에네 나라수 배나 수수 뭐시 빠지나 동아 란세 바 뇨제 바지 수수 피긴 통데 텔라 삼다네 거 그래서
비지요 말해서 거 봐.
아 제지요리 제요레스 배나 단대 갑래나 나도 배나 섬제 참발아 동아여서나 나도 참에게 대 토토고 섬는 나도 초래거도 와 남주에나 처럼 초래가 말했어. Tene malebe kabla ya susu jela mise semche thomo mai ba dunga rapa ngadu thon deba ji telemine ta dunga da trawasho ni thara sam de gore.
Right now, under this like a COVID-19 circumstances, you remember I told you to think about all the sentient being around you, and the suffering is so gross. We can easily really imagine what is going through the mind, right? And sometimes when you're not able to generate compassion, because that suffering is not visible to us, and then what we can do is we'll look at very specific type of suffering, and by thinking these sufferings, we try to generate compassion. Can I add something? Maybe near the Geshe-la Kong,
No.
and so when Geshe-la said, may all sentient beings free from suffering and the causes of suffering, right? And you just place your mind single-pointedly on that thought. This word has, meaning, right? And then put your mind on that, thought, that may all sentient beings free from suffering, causes of suffering, and then place your mind on that thought.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Is that a little bit better now?
Yeah. I think we don't want to say about, maybe more difficult. About means you have to think about that. Maybe you concentration that thought. I think this is more clear. I think this is more clear for Jennifer.
But it's harder. It's clearer. It's clearer, but it's harder.
Yes,
it's much harder than starting with an individual. Yeah.
Therefore, try to, if possible, try to hardest one. Because you can see the result. If you don't, like you go to study, you don't hard working, then you don't get the good note. How is it? You do hard working, you got exactly that. Okay?
Geshe-la, I can't feel it so much emotionally when I think may all beings be free. I can feel it more intensely when I think of a specific person. May they be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. Then it's so strong, it's much stronger in my heart. So are you suggesting to us that we begin to think about it without the examples, without the specific examples? I mean,
no.
To see the suffering of everybody, but it's less emotionally intense than seeing a particular person suffering.
That's good. That's good. I understand. That's correct. I understand that. That's a reality. This happened. 제 장가 남중아도 가르나 미참에게 동안 간 통고에 말어. 돌고에 매와자. 아니 나도 때 초체도 말했어. 되그래.
Usually when we are not able to really see the sufferings of other sentient beings, we cannot feel it. And therefore, for that type of practices, first you really think about the suffering of one person, really think in detail. And then what you can do is you can apply that to other sentient beings.
Okay. But right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
like everyone like feel everyone is suffering. I think I feel it. Like everyone is suffering. It doesn't matter. You're
Yes, yes.
laughing, you're walking, you're driving, you're just running. It doesn't matter. Everyone has a very heavy headache in here, for pandemic. Therefore, I just have to think about it for everyone. Otherwise, usually, there's you can just particular one sentient being, then you can take example for all them.
Geshe-la,
Okay.
Tanya kunzu hagos, kunzu ganay kane chayati.
Yes.
kunzu ganay khache zo Geshe-la tangu de ben nenga sung sung. 남주 탈야 심지어 탐제 등 COVID-19 그 동해 맵 요마레스. 이게 삼단지 심지어 탐제 동해다 동해교다 제어를 쇼지스. 나버봐. 딱 먼저 내용이 되게 미리가 삼단지 이제 심지어 탐제 동해다 동해교다 제어를 쇼 치감부 주고 삼단데 당아도 손알리면 누스 거래.
아니 되게 다른 섬도 담보 이제 섬다 도고 말이. 담보 코피에 심지어 타마 섬다요. 다 코도 동화다 잡을 제시선다 코도 야로 더 갑되다.
Really. So I think we also maybe missed one step in that meditation. Do you remember right from the beginning when Geshe-la taught us to think about the meditation? Geshe-la taught us to visualize all sentient beings around us. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that they are suffering from COVID-19. No one's free from COVID-19. Do you remember that? And
No, I didn't. Yeah.
and these people are us, all of us are, no one's free from this suffering, right? And then with that, behind, Geshe-la said that idea, this compassion behind, and we recite, may all sentient beings free from suffering and the cause of the suffering. And these days, all around, they're so visible to us. We don't have to go into a bigger one particular sentient being because the suffering is all around us. And with that, mindset behind, we say, may all sentient beings free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And then you single-mindedly think about that thought, the meaning of the word. Is that a little bit better now, Jennifer? Because this is a Zoom class, can you be a little bit more reactive or interactive?
I think maybe if you don't say think about means you think about it, maybe difficult. You focus that thought, your mind. You thought, keep the thought like that.
Okay.
Right.
Sure.
그냥 나도 다를 샘 다를 때는 되고 나도 벽에라야 안에 냠바 잡고라 샘 다라 그라 샤네 대해서지와. 제가 안에 샘제들이 동안도 다 잡아쇼 냐 샘도 다라 샘네 말아와치 되고. 샘도 때 샘네 말아와치 되고다. 이게 교체.
Not just like think about that. In our meditative equipoise, we place full concentration, our full attention on this single subject or object. For this purpose, the single object is, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of the suffering. And then we be in that state of mind. Maybe is that better, Jennifer, the word, the state of in that mind?
Like to generate the mind, yeah.
Yes. So you generate that mind, like wishing that all sentient beings free from suffering, cause of suffering. And then you single-pointedly, stay on that state of mind. And with that, Geshe-la said, you start feeling, and that state of mind will really have a huge impact on our both physical and psychological right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Sherry had a question.
Okay, where's Sherry? Hello.
Sherry, did you still have your question?
Sherry.
Yeah, I think maybe she doesn't have a question anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. 다음
So,
Yes,
But
yes,
George has a
George.
question.
Geshe-la, so I have a comment because when we do that third meditation on just the word or the meaning of the word, as opposed to Amy, I'm not able to really focus on one person or people in particular. But what I feel is that all of a sudden I have all the power given to me that I have generated, and I'm sending this power out to everyone around me so they could have their suffering can disappear. This is the way I address it, by really like feeling that somehow I have this power and I'm sending it out like white light. So is that not proper?
가서 देखो.
그런 게 디스도 저는 기실아 숨난다지 검기를 봐. 신자 탐자 동네다 동네기도 대화를 쉬었어. 이 검백을 지금 수술이야 지금 신자 탐자 동네에 제야 누구지 요 삼고도. 디인도 수술 수는 지금 월가부터인데 봐도 최체제. 신자 등에 월디가 포도 신자 등에 동네에 봐 제가 진짜 삼고용도. 니 전에 집을 봤어.
다대 가나라고 다대 갈라오로. 다대 삼단다 여여래나 단다 레라오 용 통용도 말해. 삼도대.
Yes, we do have, we use this kind of, there are meditation techniques for this purpose, as George mentioned. But for this particular meditation, it's not that, not like that. You do not consider yourself in some kind of a power to cleanse other sentient beings' suffering. You do not do that here.
제가 담보 섬지 동안에 되게 삼도대 bên college jambogo semlang ana keto chona ani tanda chana samsa chana ani shuche yores.
And if once as you practice what I just taught you, and if you become very familiar with this technique, and when you strongly feel the compassion, and then the next stage is you can share this compassion with other sentient beings. But right now it's much harder to do that because we're just starting to generate that compassion.
Okay. Okay, 되지. 다음에도 동반이 다 들이 동반이 시고 말해. 동반이 시에 먹어지. 전화도 소소 세쇼스 다 들이고나 전화도 내가 소소도 가와도 소소에 같이 세쇼스.
So tonight the next topic is emptiness, and I want you to find what is emptiness.
마마 전화 소소소 빼나 단다 빼나 근데 선에나 선에 뭐랑 선에서 가와도 지금 세쇼스다.
Okay, I'm sorry. For the practice of on emptiness, I want you to find yourself. For Snahe, so where is this self? And I want you to investigate.
Okay, I'm the George, right? It's, hey, George, what are you doing? Yeah, someone said, hey, George. You say, I'm George here, right? I'm just, hey, Sunny. Oh, I'm Sunny here, right? And one said, right. One said, Jennifer. Yeah, I'm Jennifer here. Someone said, do you saw Jennifer? Oh, she went to that way. 제 장아 남중 아주 삼다다 대다 오닝 소소여서 그래 삼다죠 다 대리 건달 검자 대다 차서 검자 쇼스.
So tonight, I want you to investigate. Where is myself? Snahe, okay, who's Snahe? Where is it? Where is it located? And I want you to meditate on that tonight.
제 장아도 돈이라는 것도 요 말라고 말다. 해나 가도 티바라다 찍하 돼. 그때 삼노다 그랬어.
And when we talk about emptiness, we're not saying there's no self. We're not saying the self is nothingness. We're not saying that. But there's something else about that self.
Okay. That's it. Okay, then I'll not talk too much. Okay. Main thing is to, what I just, describe how to meditation compassion. Try to do this as much as you can. It's important to, I mentioned before, we need to catch something. You go to fishing, you find so many different fishes, but your fish doesn't work anyone. You cannot cook anything. Therefore, you try to go to all day fishing, try to find really you can eat. Maybe no fish. Maybe you go to grab the fruit, right now the apple pickup. Try to not just pick up all the pickups, try to find really you able to eat that. Therefore, the study always is important, but the purpose to study, try to find something to, we can eat, take with us.
Yes, yes. Find something
Okay.
to with you.
Okay. Okay, like that. Then we don't have to go exactly at the clock. We can stop here, okay?
Okay.
Okay, do you have any dedication? Did we pray today?
Yeah, we didn't do it in the beginning, but George will be the umze.
Okay, you keep dedication, okay?
I'll share the screen.
Okay, thank you.
So let's start with the dedication prayers. We're going to do it in English. Due to the merit of this virtuous action, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that have not a reason arise and grow, and may that which has a reason not diminish, but increase more and more. Due to the merits of the free time collected by me, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and all other sentient beings, which are totally non-existent from their own side, may the I, which is also totally non-existent from his own side, achieve Guru Shakyamuni's Buddha's enlightenment, which is also totally non-existent from his own side, and lead all sentient beings who are totally non-existent from their own side to that enlightenment, which is totally non-existent from his own side, by myself alone, who is also totally non-existent from his own side. And then we will do the short, long life prayers for His Holiness and Lama Zopa. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. And for Lama Zopa, you who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as a bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjuna's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the sweet jewels, Savior of myself and other, your disciple, please, please live long.
Thank you. What time tomorrow?
10:30, right?
Yeah, 10:30.
Okay.
Geshe-la, I just want to tell everyone, in case they don't know, Geshe-la has been doing these 2-minute Dharma bites. I don't know if any of you have seen them. They're great, and they're all, on topics that are really relevant for us. I was listening to one that said, like how to deal with loneliness, and there are many, many, many other topics. And what's lovely is they're just 2 minutes. So they're very digestible, and you can really think about it and put it into practice, because Geshe-la offers advice of how to deal with these topics that are part of our daily life that we have to, manage and cope with. So I highly recommend Geshe-la. I've seen them on the Kurukula website and also on your Facebook page, right? Are they also on YouTube?
Yeah, it's also YouTube.
Yeah, so I think just Kurukula Center YouTube channel, right?
I think Kurukula YouTube channel also, you can go Geshe Tenley and YouTube or Geshe Tenley.
Yeah, so they're really wonderful. I listen to them and I find them very helpful. And then I get to see Geshe-la also for 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Tenzin. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you, everyone.
Good
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good
Good
night.
night, Tenzin, as well. Yeah,
Good night. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
yeah.
Okay.
Wow. It's great.
It was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had this thought. I didn't want, it was too intellectual, different from, little off from what he was saying, but it seems like it's so much easier